the power that we have experienced, all of us, in the past year and a half since the nascent Federal Virtual Worlds Consortium grew into what we have today has been rather astounding to all of us. But what we're doing, I think, at the federal level is certainly tougher at the state and local level, given the dispersion and the many challenges that they're associated with. Part of our consortium state and local efforts here in the consortium is to channel many of the things that we're doing and to share with the state and local government level. But make no mistake about it. Certainly, the state and local government level has tremendous amount of initiatives, skunk work efforts, if you will, programs in the virtual worlds that they can indeed share with us. And that's what we would like to take advantage of today. Today we have Mr. Paul Wright, who's the Director of IT for the Department of Education in the state of Missouri, and Ms. Jan Grecian of the Office of the CIO for the state of Missouri, here to share with us some of their cross-cutting and very, very provocative and forward-edge programs and projects that they're doing in the state of Missouri. So I'm going to step back and let Paul and Jan take from the Show Me state, show us what they're doing in virtual worlds in the heartland. So Paul and Jan, let me step aside and say the floor, or rather the virtual world, is yours. We had a good combo with them before. Can you hear Paul and Jan? We have them in the audience, and they're about ready to walk up on stage. Paul and Jan?
Yeah, they're speaking. Just not hearing
Well, I wonder where they are.
Paul and Jan, we're waiting. We can't hear you right now.
We tested this, guys.
Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear us now?
Okay. Okay, we can hear you.
Great. If everything is ready to go, we'll just go ahead. If you can just let us know.
As I said earlier, Paul and Jan, the virtual world is yours. Yeah. Following their presentation, we invite you to the Q&A session. If you have questions for Paul and Jan, we ask that you use the microphones so that those in the other worlds that are listening in and being a part of this presentation can hear the questions clearly.
Paul, you can start.
Yes. Okay, thanks.
You bet.
Okay, well, we're glad to be here today, and I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending upon where you're at, because in this virtual world and in that real life, and there in Washington, D.C., we can be in many, many time zones all at the same time. But just to give you an idea, too, Paul and I today are sitting in a conference room at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in Jefferson City, Missouri. And for those of you not sure about the geography there, we're talking about halfway between Kansas City and St. Louis, right in the middle of Missouri. And we really are excited to be here today and to be able to talk to you about the virtual world and what we've been able to do with the state of Missouri. I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to do that. In just a moment, I'll tell you a little bit about Paul and myself. And we're going to talk about the challenges that we have faced in not only doing something from the government perspective, but just actually entering this virtual world itself and the newness to it all. And I'm going to Paul will probably get after me, but I'm going to tell you that both of us are actually over 50 years old. So it isn't just that young person out there that's doing that. And this is what we wanted to be able to show as well, is that it isn't just, the younger generation that can make great use of the virtual world. Some of the issues, too, we're going to talk about that have come up for us, and especially, with government and information and different things like that. And we want to also be able to brag a little bit about some of the accomplishments that we've had in this virtual world. So to those of you in real life and in the other virtual worlds out there that are talking with us, I'd like to go ahead and tell you a little bit about, I'm Jan Grecian, and you'll see me in this in-world as Madison Lyle. And I've worked for a number of years for the state of Missouri, and the last 14 have been directly for the state's chief information officer. And Paul has been with state government, again, for 12 years, and the IT director for education, and that covers the territory of both Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and Higher Education. And this is one area, too, that has seen a great potential with the virtual world, particularly in Second Life, is what we can do as outreach to students to be able to create curriculum that literally takes that student into history, perhaps, or even other geographical areas. And I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about some of the challenges, why we even went here in the first place. For those of you who have been involved with information technology, and of course information technology supports most things that we do, even from the business side of perspective. We have seen such a decline over the last years since 1995 in the number of IT professionals and the number of students actually that are interested in going into the information technology field. At the same time, our needs for information technology have grown tremendously. We really started paying attention to this back in about 1995, and we were growing the technology, the use of it to be able to deliver those business applications. The internet was growing. In fact, state of Missouri, just to give you an idea, in 1995, we were scratching our heads about this internet thing. Well, we knew it was important. It was out there. We knew we needed to have a presence on it, but we couldn't really imagine yet what we were actually going to be able to do with the technology. Look at how far we've come. We can't hardly remember the time when the internet wasn't there and available to us for our everyday life. But it takes people to be able to make that happen. So as we're growing in our needs, the number of students coming out of school are decreasing. And we went through the dot-com boom in the late 90s and, of course, the bust about 2000, 2001. And we discouraged really a lot of young folks from going into that because they saw even some of their parents laid off and from the companies and different things like that. But we know we need to keep growing that sector to be able to have enough IT professionals to fill the need. But we continue to go downhill. And so one of the things now where we're really kind of at a perfect storm, if you will, is the number of IT grads has decreased, but many of us have gotten to the point where we're that baby boomer generation. We're starting to look at retirements. And also, too, with our dependency on technology, just to be able to do what we do every day and how embedded technology is in our everyday life.